Did you win? Did you win the battle?
Sorry, man. I just got told to put a shotgun into my mouth by
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hold on. You gotta, okay, before we start, you gotta give me details on this whole ordeal.
Oh, I will gladly show you it. It's honestly really depressing.
Okay. Cause like I was just like, okay, you know, you're another, was this another libertarian debate, by the way, or
he identifies as a libertarian,
right?
but he has severe social Darwinist trends.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, you know, that's unfortunately where that we're at.
So, I mean, how did it all start?
It started because so I'm gonna share this. Right, so
Okay.
It started because a gentleman who is pretty far right. Now I'm not going to accuse him of being now definitely social Darwinist. You can take that where it's going to be with that.
Okay.
But let me share my screen here.
Yeah, hang on. You're able to share, right? Because I want to make sure that I had that option available. Because I remember last time we didn't. I'm still getting used to the Zoom, folks. So.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Yeah. Nope, still denied.
All right, hang on. Technical difficulties, folks. Did
you figure out how to share it?
Yeah, we're good. Can you see something? Okay, all right. Can you see?
No, I cannot. I see a big white bar in it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. How about now?
Zoom CM. There we go.
Okay. How about now? Okay.
Wow, you got a lot of tabs there, bro.
Shut up. Hang on a minute. Let me close these a little. I was like, because I understand, like, you gotta do your arguments. So I was like, oh, let me do some shopping, and I'm like, I have all these tabs open. I'm like, let me close these for a minute. Okay. Yeah. No, because all the other tabs are stuff that I wanted to share. So okay, there.
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay, all right. So. Okay.
No. Off the fucking rails. Okay.
So we're here. So this is it, right? The Instagram post here.
This is it. So get ready, man. Okay. Get ready for some holy fuck.
Do you want it? So this is by Ol Meth. Okay. So once again, gentle readers, I present to you a tale in two pictures. One, peaceful protesters who understand that the narrative is false and quarantine unlawful, protesting because they want to get back to work and support themselves, their families, and their employees. And the, I assume, liberal healthcare worker who swallowed the Kool-Aid. Because I chose not to wear a mask, I was told to be ashamed, you're selfish, and you don't have the right to infect me. These sentiments were, in fact, supported by the media and experts who predicted, parentheses, millions dead if we don't wear masks and practice social distancing. Number two, I assume liberal healthcare workers applauding protesters, rioters, looters who are not wearing masks, not social distancing, not isolating, but they are carrying the sign that says death to police, something, hashtag prenum non nocere. The delicious, I don't know if I pronounced that right. The delicious irony here is that the bluest cities in the bluest states, oh God, I can't, oh geez, utopia, am I right? With the strictest quarantines, parentheses, true fascist behavior, by the way, are the ones with the highest rates of COVID death. They also coincidentally happen to have the highest crime rates, highest murder rates, and strictest gun laws, and currently experience the greatest unrest. You voted for this. There is a direct and undeniable pipeline from liberal politics to progressive to radical, and that's on you. Invariably, it was my liberal friends, family, and coworkers who blacked out on Tuesday. Congratulations, you played yourself. You believe another false narrative. More innocent, unarmed black men have been killed in the past 10 days than the total number of unarmed black men killed by law enforcement in 2019. That number is 10, by the way, and 6 of those 10 resisted arrest or attacked the officer. Thanks for clarifying, by the way. You're either ignorant to the truth or being deliberately malicious. The result is the same. Our republic is falling. I stand by my previous assessment. Emotional diarrhea, lack of critical thinking, ignorance of the facts. To paraphrase Marcus Aurelius, be not pulled by your emotions like puppets on strings. Oh my god, what a fucking mouthful. Oh god, okay. So that was interesting. So
Just wait. So
okay.
then it moves down to, I suggest that somebody probably needs to update their poli-sci knowledge if you think that quarantine is fascist.
Well, I just want to okay, going back to the top here, because he makes some some weird assertions here. Something about I mean, yeah, of course, most deaths from COVID and as well as from law enforcement are going to happen in the cities because that's where the most people live.
Yeah,
That's not a
it's where a majority of the minority lives.
yeah,
So that, like, the if you have the most people densely packed, that's where you're going to have
yeah.
viral outbreaks.
I mean, the places with the highest population, of course, I would assume are going to have higher murder rates and
Oh yeah,
crime
mind
rates.
this guy's a nurse.
Oh.
This guy's a nurse, mind you.
Well, I mean, he's going to the Chicago defense that a lot of conservatives like to have. Oh, look at all this crime rate, and they just so happen to have the strictest gun laws. When if you look at the guns obtained from these crime scenes, a lot of them come from out-of-state purchases. They are not within the area. Like going
Yes.
back to Chicago, what was it? 2/3 of guns that were obtained at the crime scenes were purchased out of state in states with lesser gun laws, like Indiana, for example. So, I mean, this is not this is a false correlation, basically. But
Yeah,
go on, you
it's a very bad analysis that is reductivist in nature. Like, and then you're using the false correlation to imply causation, at least in that first part, right? So,
right,
like, it also doesn't identify any of the things that are promoting like differences within economic structures and availability for people to be able to progress through, right? Amartya Sen actually goes about it very deeply in his book, a little bit dated now. It's called Development is Freedom. And he specifically identifies these things and is like, look, if you don't give other people an option, they're still going to have to find a way to provide for themselves.
true.
And crime is an available option when we can see systemic injustices throughout that, from redlining to job applications to these other things that are very difficult to go on with that.
Well, you can even expound upon that even further with prohibition. I mean, when alcohol was outlawed in America, what happened? You saw a rise in bootlegging and organized crime with the selling of alcohol. I mean, you can look at it right now with our current war on drugs as another example. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and,
just
and
yeah,
no one makes the argument that these are the same people that will say quarantine doesn't work for firearms, but yet they won't make the same exclusion to drugs or other things, right?
right.
Nor do they adjust like the systemic factors that push people out of that. Now, my simple retort was that you may need to update your knowledge on with that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, uh, could that be considered belittling? Maybe.
Well,
Uh,
his entire post was pretty emphatic and assertive. Just I got the answers. That's all right here. I know the truth. Where it's I mean, this is just me being critical of myself. Like, I don't know the answers, but I try to derive facts from what I see, and I'm willing to have them check. I guess I'm not as definitive as this person is presenting himself. Like, I've got it all figured out, man.
Yeah, which is the crazy thing, because later on I am accused of saying that. I'm like, I never said that. I suggested reading these sources for people that have actually lived it and thought a lot about it, right? So if we go from there, then immediately it's like, you're a fucking commie, you're Antifa, and
not that it's a bad thing being part of Antifa. We're gonna talk about that later, but I mean, just.
But so then, you know, now it's, you're not welcome in our strength training group.
Oh,
right?
is this somebody you've actually met in person?
Oh yes, no, like so I do strongman training, right? I also do Olympic weightlifting, so, and powerlifting. So strength athletics, it's fun to me.
Can I just say something? Like, because I went to one of your strength training like competitions. Like, what is it with like the big strength trainers and their obsession with Trump? Because I remember I went to one competition that you had.
Oh yeah.
One of your competitors had like Trump socks on. I'm like,
so I there's a huge problem with Nazis in strength training. I will tell you that right now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's steroids that makes them.
I don't know. I think you have a better explanation of this than me, because I feel like these guys are just meatheads. They're just like.
No, it's a huge problem, dude. I mean, you even look at like Brandon Allen, for instance. Now, that guy has 88 tattooed onto his fucking chest.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. Huge Nazis, right? That are going on with that. And I think it's this idea that, you know, through strength, they will be able to conquer all.
For those playing the home game, 88 is the code number for Heil Hitler, HH. Yeah. So, what's the other code? 1488 or something?
14 words.
14 words. 14 words. Yeah.
14
words. When you're disseminating the alt-right, there's a lot of jargon and code word that you're going to have to delineate, and
yeah, they're dog whistles.
Yeah.
Basically, and the reason why that term exists is because if you do not know what they are, you're not going to know what you're listening for.
Right. It's like the Philosophy Tube's old video on Antifa, when you're talking about like, oh, it's Wednesday, and then people are going to catch on like, oh, you mean it's Wednesday? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And the language is always shifting. Yeah. So also understand that, right? Like the group is to have the jargon or lingo, right? That's a restrictive term which lets people in the know understand at a certain point in time. And that's why, like, if you're familiar with this is like a white power symbol that people are utilizing, right?
No, it's straight up not neo-fascism, neo-Nazism, just white supremacy.
Yeah,
totally. It's I mean, it's all, of course, like if I quote Alex Jones, it's all coded.
Yeah. So this cat, D Beards, I have no idea who he is.
Okay. Right? Yeah, D Beards. Okay.
Immediately goes on to, oh, if you don't read these 30 books teaching you how to think, and I just listen to BLM, and because my skin color is this color, I'm racist.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus. They whatever people of color tell me, and give all the product of my labor to the PO.
Which is really interesting, because if you support capitalism, all the product of your labor, the labor surplus value, right,
goes to the owner.
Goes to the owner. So unless your owner is black, it doesn't go.
Right? Well, I mean, it's a useful trope for capital, the owners, I should say, of capitalism, to divide working class from organized solidarity by pitting people based on their race. So, of course, it's very convenient for them to say, like, well, immigrants are taking your jobs, or affirmative action denied you the opportunity to work in this company. So that redirects anger at, the capitalist system, and have it in infighting among working class and minorities. So, yeah.
And basically immediately starts a straw man argument, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Red Scare trash.
It's Red Scare trash, right? Am I really a communist? Not what the right wing thinks is I mean, maybe what the right wing thinks is a
Listen,
con.
let's just put it off on like let's just get this out right now. If you're right wing, anything you think Democrats are communists, so like
Oh
there is
yeah,
a
the communist
huge distortion of like who perceives what to be communist. So I mean, if you're a Republican, you think Democrats are probably communist, which I find to be fairly fucking hilarious.
Oh
But
yeah, I mean, literally, they're liberals, but like saying that there's a pipeline directing you to that, not really. Do people start off as Democrats and then shift towards that? Probably.
that's an
Uh,
interesting like way because there's like, I mean, for the right, there's the quote unquote red pill,
yeah,
and you fall down a rabbit hole that way. In terms of like becoming more leftist, I can only speak for myself in that matter, but like, for me, like because my political affiliations have switched. Like when I was younger, I was definitely more right wing libertarian. That's the farthest right I've ever gotten, though. I never considered myself Republican. So I
yeah,
guess
and I
it really depends on like who you are and like where you live, how you're brought up. It's a multifaceted like contingency involved here.
yeah, some people even volley the idea that genetics plays a role within that, but I would say it's a large epigenetic factor played exactly like you're
It's where
saying,
you're
right?
raised, basically,
Yeah,
and
nature
how
and
you're raised. For instance, I mean, there are like, well, Ronald Reagan's son, for instance, did not become a conservative like his father. He became very liberal. So upbringing's a big deal. A lot of it is an act of rebellion. I will say that I'm sure there are plenty of people that our age that probably have liberal parents and they're conservative now as like an act to stick it to their parents. Like I
yeah,
get that. That goes on both sides though. That's not specific to any like left or right leaning deal. But
sure, sure.
we're good.
Uh,
We're good.
so
We're getting off
single
track.
parent
So okay.
system, yeah, goes on with it, right? Identifying it.
Yeah.
Basically, I alienated myself, and sorry, I've never said your skin made it, right?
So
Drop.
this guy's like really out to get you. Like you're not coming to strength training anymore.
Oh yeah, which is terrible. Which is terrible. Which is entirely funny, because I'm just like, what authority do you have on this?
Right.
But I'm whatever, right?
Oh my
But right, and
oh, okay. Here we go.
oh yeah, goes immediately to it, and I'm like, whoa.
Dude, seriously, like, watch out, guys. We got a fucking badass here on the internet. Like,
Oh, he's so hard.
well,
So hard.
this actually, because I would say that a similar thing happened to me when I used to argue with, I don't want to say his name on this channel right now, but just for his privacy, but you know who I'm talking about. So he showed me his gun, and I commented on it, basically making a small penis reference, and his reply was, "Well, it's big enough still to fit in your mouth." So I'm like, trust me, I know what it's like to be threatened with gun violence in your orifice. So you're in good company here.
Yeah, I mean,
Mind you, it wasn't a shotgun, so I mean,
it's not the first death threat I've had, and it won't be the last. But
I
wow,
that got heated really fast. That's like what, comment number like 5 or 6 down the line. Like, wow,
yeah, I think that might be his third, maybe.
jeez.
Yeah, like wow, bro, that escalated quickly. And basically the next one is I'm like, if this is true, man, sorry to hear it. Like, I'm really sorry no one else had the ability to talk to me about it, right?
Trying to de-escalate the situation. Like, whoa, bro, come
Oh
on.
yeah. The second one from the other cat is, wow, bro, that is some hateful stuff from a man I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's
Right?
very easier to threaten the life of somebody you don't know, I guess. So,
I suppose. I guess I'm the straw man that they're looking at it, right?
so what about so wait, what about why is he bringing up Italy? Like because of the COVID
Uh, I'm
or
guessing.
because back in the 1940s the CIA intervened to prevent the communists from being elected in Italy in like 1946. I don't.
For some reason, I think he's implying that because he has family in Italy, that makes him knowledgeable on fascism. Um,
Okay. Well, I
and
would say that Italian fascism is not the. There's actually a video that I want to make about the dynamics of fascism, and I would argue that Italian fascism, Benito Mussolini, is vanilla fascism. Like it has
Oh yeah,
the basic prerequisites of what it means to be fascist, but
yeah.
it expands upon that because you have Hitler's Nazism, which is very more race related. Uh, you have you have Slovakian fascism, which is considered clerico-fascism because the head of Slovakia during World War II was literally a priest, a man of holy orders. So, I mean, you have this diverse range of fascism of what applies. But yeah, I'll give this guy credit. Italian fascism is vanilla fascism, but like just because you say you have family that was fascist does not necessarily mean that you're expert of like
No,
neo-fascist policies of today.
did your grandfather or great uncle or whatever directly transmit their knowledge to you? And then that doesn't talk about the decay, doesn't talk about anything that's going on through it, right?
Right, right,
Like,
right, right, right. Yeah. Wow.
hello,
Oh, we're just on the phone.
hello.
Was that him calling? Just by the way, don't show up.
You're a piece of shit.
Okay. Well, geez, I can see why. Okay, I'm very familiar with these types of arguments. I'm really
Yeah, as it goes to, oh man, black Obama was with a black nationalist, and
Is he talking about the pastor? Because that shit's really fucking old.
oh, it's extremely old. They're saying, oh, he has a photograph with the black nationalist, and I'm like, dude, we have no context,
Right.
no context. My biggest thing is like then he goes on the idea that Nazis are socialists.
Ah, fuck. Because I guess we're a BreadTube channel. I feel like down the line we will have to make a video on why Nazism is not socialism.
Yeah. But we said the word, man. The algorithm's going to hate us now.
I know. Well,
yeah, we said several words.
yeah, I know. We did a lot of. We're gonna get. We actually. I didn't tell you, by the way, that we got the channel up now. The YouTube channel is made. I'll send you the link later. Yeah. But I don't have. So I had the Twitter made and everything, but I got suspended on Twitter, so we're waiting for that to fucking. It's about J.K. Rowling. If we have time today, we'll talk about her. But
yeah.
But basically, long story short, a bunch of TERFs mass reported me, and that's why I got fucking suspended. Okay.
TERFs got triggered, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
Nazis. Yeah, that is a dangerous statement to say Nazis don't exist. I mean, like literally, we had Charlottesville about 3 years ago now.
You have neo-Nazis waving white nationalist flags at the quarantine protests, right? I mean, there's to say that they aren't there is, and then to say that they're socialist it's like, again, right? Easiest argument against that is the DPRK. Is that a democracy or a republic? I'm pretty sure that almost everyone is going to say.
I mean, yeah, that's. To apply it in the more simpler terms, like just because it has the name in it does not necessarily mean that it is. Yeah. I mean, we can elaborate on this further down the line in the future, but like how the Nazis operated is a clear red flag, no pun intended, that they weren't socialist in any meaningful sense. It was a catchphrase. It was basically they called themselves National Socialists to appeal to working class Germans to vote for them, as opposed to them voting for communist or social democrats back in the 1930s. But
it was basically a bait and switch.
It basically was. I promise I will if we can talk about it, we will talk about this, and I'll even make maybe like a whole different video just solely on that topic. But yeah, we will talk about this because far too often I see this, that Nazism equated to socialism, and it's a problem.
It's a huge problem because it says that somebody is not beyond a third grade understanding of history.
To somebody, total lack of historical context in every shape and form. But yeah. So what else happened here?
Basically, me pointing out ad homs and the inability for and then he's going on. David Duke was a
David
Democrat.
Duke, yeah, okay, like that
in the
fucking
70s.
yeah.
In the 70s, and he failed, right? Every single time.
Support from the Nation of Islam. Did he though? Did Obama really seek support? I don't know this. I'm actually curious. Did he actually seek support from the Nation of Islam?
That's a rumor that goes on with it. It's really not confirmed. The only thing that they have is a photograph. There's no transcripts. There's, it's like the Saul Alinsky thing because Obama had contact with Saul Alinsky, utilizing rules for radicals.
Well,
that's a book on social organizing. And if you want change, that's not a bad thing.
So this guy basically has the issue, even though he doesn't say it. Oh, no, he does say it. The Democrat Party fought for slavery, as if that's the current platform now.
Yeah.
This is literally retarded Dinesh D'Souza bullshit that I'm fucking saying right now.
oh yeah. It is straight up propaganda. And the funniest thing is he's like, you're a fucking member.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Do you want to watch Dinesh D'Souza's video, Death of a Nation? Because
oh god.
Speaking of propaganda, because this is literally this whole like Democrats were the party of slavery is an immediate propaganda point, and it lacks the context and the history of the past 200 years, 100 years.
It talks nothing about the Southern strategy, the switch of the platforms. It doesn't talk about the differing positions that you could have within the parties, because within the Democrats, you had progressives and conservatives. Could you imagine if Teddy Roosevelt ran today on a Republican ticket?
No.
Right? Like,
that's the thing.
That's for socialized medicine and busting up trusts and monopolies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would totally run on a Republican ticket.
Well, I was gonna say, like, context matters, and back in the 1860s when the Republican Party was formed, that was the Liberal Party at the time, and conservatives were the Democrats.
Yeah,
it's like, again, it's really
specifically
important.
Southern conservatives were the Democrats.
There's a PragerU video too that talks about like this nonsense about Democrats being the pro-slavery party, and what they lack to clarify is that during because they like to talk about how a lot of Democrats oppose the Civil Rights Act. What they fail to clarify is that the Democrats that opposed the Civil Rights Act were all from southern states that were pro-Jim Crow, pro-segregation.
Yeah.
You have to break it up and really look at it from a very specific manner on the location, because all the northern states, whether they be Republican or Democrat, voted for the Civil Rights Act.
They also don't talk about the official platform of the Republican Party, and the radicalization inside the Republican Party actually had socialists. Like, they wanted to abolish wage labor and capitalism.
You're talking about the radical Republicans and
the radical Republicans in the 1860s.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like Republicans give themselves too much credit for claiming that they were the party of Lincoln.
It's an obtuse abuse of history.
Yeah,
it is an obtuse.
Very Couldn't say it better myself. But wow, I could see why you were kept busy. Oh my god. Well, Jesus. Yeah. Yikes. Gotta love arguing on the internet, folks. Gotta love doing that. Well, go on. What were you gonna say?
Escalate it incredibly quickly and just eat a fucking shotgun. Like I'm like taking a little time, little
self-reflecting. Like, oh god, I was just threatened with violence and death again. Did I say something wrong, or did I strike a nerve?
Did I harm this man in my life? Oh no, I didn't. Oh, okay. It reminds me similarly. I had a patient that tried to file a grievance against me on the board because I hurt his feelings. Yeah.
What did you say?
I honestly didn't. I got yelled at by 40 minutes. I was told, I was and I'm like, we need to progress a little quicker. We cannot stay here forever, otherwise the insurance company will deny what will go on. Right?
Right.
I'm stating facts. He said I insulted him and that I was telling him that he was faking it and those other things. Never said those words. Funniest thing, the insurance company did an investigation on him and they found him to be performing insurance fraud.
Oh.
So let's say that complaint was dropped. Okay. But it really makes me think about it. And I'll just quote Noam Chomsky on this. And it's the lies that people tell themselves because they cannot look in the mirror and just accept that they are a fucking monster. That's they just can't look into the mirror and be like, oh man, look at all the ugly little things I have for me. Right?
Well, I mean, speaking of lies and, false narratives or special pleading would be a word, or whatever. I'm trying to figure out the best way to frame this, because this guy's post about the dichotomy of the protest, the Open America protests versus the current protests that are happening now. I feel highlights something important that I just found last night. This is something I saw last night, and I want to share this because I feel like it's. I want to talk. I was going to talk about this later, but I want to talk about it now. So let me just share this really fast. So, article I found. What was it by? Can you see it, by the way? We're good.
So I can see the screen. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let me see here. So this was it. So, cop was filmed telling armed white men to avoid arrest so we don't look like we're playing favorites.
Yeah. I'm sure you've also seen the multiple links that have happened in Oregon specifically about white nationalism being infiltrated within the police department.
Yeah.
And that's been out for at least a decade.
So I don't know if we really expounded upon this, but because I know in previous episodes we talked about the Open America protests, and we're looking at now with these current protests against police brutality, and we're looking at such a difference in how the police have handled them. If we look at the Open America protests with, basically white people showing up with guns to government buildings, the police treated them with kid gloves. Now you contrast that now with how police are breaking up these protests that are happening all across the country. I feel like people really need to notice this. People really need to see there's a huge difference of how the police are handling each of these protests.
Oh yeah. Have you also seen the concept of white shield or white wall?
Yeah.
Right, where protesters will call white protesters to the front of police lines to make sure that they're not being abused, and it's been working to decrease police violence.
Right. Well, it goes to again, to the age-old question, who did the police serve? And if you can look at how both of these protests were handled to paint a pretty clear picture.
Yeah.
So I just want to play this video really fast here. This is on Twitter. Play it. Media cannot be played. Cool. Probably.
Was it taken down?
I don't. Maybe. Okay, maybe it was taken down. All right, maybe I can try and play it on Twitter. Let me open up satellite heat here. Oh, here we go. You can hear it, right?
Citywide curfew shutdown so we can arrest anybody who walk around. Okay. My command wanted me to come talk to you guys and request that you.
I just want to pause it because this is a Proud Boy apparently. Why the camouflage fatigue?
I gotta blend into the environment, man.
But he didn't go full attire. He's in an urban environment. What is with the camouflage?
Oh, dude, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, yeah. So this is Salem, Oregon.
Or Oregon is how they say it on the West Coast, man. Oregon is how they say it in Ohio.
Oregon is like, I want to play Oregon Trail. So
Yes, that is how you say it in Ohio, or at least that's how I grew up saying it as well.
it's like the Nevada. Like people out of state of Nevada call it Nevada for some reason, like Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
But anyway,
little accent things.
Yeah.
Let's go though.
You shut down so we can arrest anybody walking around. Okay. My command wanted me to come talk to you guys and request that you guys secrete either inside the police or we're in your vehicle somewhere where it's not a violation. I don't think so we don't look like we're playing favorites. Gotcha. We can go into here. That would really enforce the.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's not surprising, man. I mean, the FBI has made multiple statements on white supremacists infiltrating law enforcement for decades. And I mean, like, even the law enforcement museum, so the law enforcement's own historical association, basically admits that they were originated to break up unions and to catch freed slaves. That's the historical background for the police department.
I want to add to that. Police tactics were also taught on like breaking up protests and stuff when, around like not as far back as enforcing slavery laws, but you can go into the turn of the century, the late 1800s into the 1900s during when the United States occupied the Philippines. Insurrection tactics were from there that were taught there were later brought over to America and taught police forces there. Nice little history lesson. This is current tactics of police force has a very dark history. So, and it is. I mean,
they're only using tear gas, which is banned from combat.
Yeah.
So I mean, whatever it could be, whatever would make you think that there's a dark history.
Right. Well,
it only causes birth defects in children, Pregnant ladies, please do not go to the protest. Please do not go to the protest.
Well, I don't have the video. I didn't I'll bring it up, but there is a video of. Now, this guy was not a protester. He had his pregnant girlfriend in the car, though. They were going to the hospital, and they had to drive through the protest area. And the police shot up his car with rubber bullets and tear gas.
Yeah.
Just showing the indiscriminate nature and just like absolute brutality that the police are using right now. Yeah, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to share this though. I don't know. You want to watch because I'm saying this now because as of June 7th, Joe Biden has officially claimed enough delegates to become the Democratic nominee for president. So we are officially in the general election right now. So this week, I actually saw some of my first Trump ads. I don't know if you have seen it in your area or not, but I thought it would be funny just to kind of quickly go over one of these ads.
Ever hear about the time Big Jim's?
I don't know why that's playing. Sorry. Just to go over one of these ads really quick and just look at the pure propaganda of it. Okay, you're totally. I don't know if you're like, oh please, no, don't show me a Trump ad, or like, oh okay, fine.
No, I think having a nice framework and utilizing something similar to like Bernays or Chomsky's, we got an issue again, man. It's that narrow line. It's not the.
Yeah. All right. So this is not okay. So this is not the ad that I saw in Ohio. I tried to find it. I couldn't find it. I found something very similar to it though. So this is what I'm going to share. So
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat.
Immediately off the bat.
I can't see it on my screen.
Shit.
Yeah, 1 second.
All right, hang on. Oh no, we got crying baby. Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, Kevin is tending to his kid, so I'll keep you guys entertained on this right now. What a week. What a week. Just kind of babbling right now. We'll be right back.
Okay.
No, you can see it now? Okay, we're good. Okay, all right. So let's do this. I just restarted it.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat.
So immediately, he's trying to make himself like he was the savior of COVID, even though he wasted about 2 months in preparedness and readiness for it. Just immediately off the bat. We're fucking lying.
Missing the quote. I take no responsibility.
Oh, God. Yeah, this is a guy that wants credit for everything good, doesn't want to take any responsibility for what goes wrong. It's the fucking child. It's just,
xenophobia, giving Americans a false sense.
Is it accurate that if these steps had not been put in place, it could have been 2 million people dead here in the United States?
Yes. No matter how hard they try to stop us, they can't.
We built the greatest economy the world has ever seen, and we're going to do it again.
So I know that the economy has slightly improved by a percentage point, but I mean, just from the outbreak alone, it's been pretty devastating. And that's been pretty bad for Trump because the economy was probably the only thing that he could run his reelection on. And that's, yeah.
We are, let's just say we did not take a great hit, and the unemployment numbers are equal to that.
Yeah, I think we're at what now? We dropped a percentage point, so we went from like 14 something to now I think 13 something. But
yeah, but the total amount of working age Americans that was out of employment was similar to that of the Great Depression.
Yeah, we were at Depression era numbers. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and it's disproportionately affecting
minorities
and minorities.
Yeah,
the 40% of people that make underneath 40K lost their jobs in March and April.
Right.
I mean, like that is devastating. You look at above that, less than 10% of people that are in the like professional class or have the luxury of working at home have been able to escape that.
No, I agree.
So let's continue.
Together we're beating back the invisible enemy.
What the federal government did was a phenomenal accomplishment.
That was fucking ballsy because him and Cuomo have been constantly at odds right now.
Oh, are you kidding me? Let's continue though.
Yeah.
Through it all, the world has witnessed the unyielding resolve of our incredible American people.
Promise made, promise kept.
And I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have. And you know that. With the grace of God, we will win this war, and we will win this war quickly. And we will make America great again.
Win this war?
He's declared himself a wartime president against Corona despite taking no responsibility.
Well, I also remember his tweet like, this will all go away. This will all be nothing. And I think that was back at the beginning of March when there was like 50 cases of COVID.
Yeah.
A handful of deaths. We are now over 100,000 deaths. I think we're approaching 110,000 now.
Yeah.
That's just... That is obscene, and it really pisses me off because there's just so much lack of context of like the actual events that have occurred, and it's just like all this stuff being strung around for like a false narrative. It just pisses me off that so many people are just gonna eat this shit up and be like, "Wow, he's doing a really great job. Thank you, President Trump."
Yeah, I mean it is more so to rally the base, and I think he's realizing that it's looking very bad for him right now.
It's not looking good. I mean, Listen, I think, whatever you have to say about Joe Biden, I feel like had there not been an outbreak, I actually would have been very nervous about the chances of him beating Trump. Right now, I'm gonna say it's a toss-up. It's the beginning of June, so we got 5 months till the election. A lot of things can happen till then. But right now, if you're seeing how Trump has botched the coronavirus relief, not just the relief, just the preparedness for it, even before it happened. Now you're dealing with the police brutality protests occurring right now, and his response to it has been abysmal. He doesn't have very good favorabilities right now. I think like overall most people, he doesn't even have a lot of favorability amongst a lot of Republican voters.
No.
So yeah, as of right now, I mean things could change, but as of right now, it's not looking good. So I would advise Joe Biden to please understand that you do not get fucking extra points for trying to beat Trump on hard mode. So stop saying stupid shit.
Yeah.
You don't. You just have to coast yourself, okay?
I think that this is an excellent thing. Right now, polling. This is on Politico. Politico. I just sent you the article.
Hang on. I got it. All right. So yeah, let me share this really fast. So what do we got? 80%. Sorry, 80% of Americans think country's out of control.
92% of Democrats.
Yeah.
66% of Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And between May 28th and June 2nd. Only 15% of those surveyed say that the country is currently in a good state.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, more concerned. Yeah, 15% more concerned about police actions than the death of George Floyd. Yeah. I mean, this is all what we're going to be talking about. Trump's use of the military to break up protest, his response, his call to the governors. Yeah, we're going to talk about all this because, like,
that is one thing that has given me hope is Jim taking a step back, or I'm sorry, Mattis and Kelly. Two very high-ranking military officials that have actually said that Trump is putting the Constitution in jeopardy. Wow, that. I did not think that I would see that, but thank goodness.
I mean, yes, Joe Biden has national lead over Trump by 7 points. I mean, of all people, I know, like, the stakes are high for Trump because, like, I know he'll never be able to live himself if he loses to somebody like Joe fucking Biden. Of all people, he'll never live that down. It'll just, and like again, whatever your misgivings about Joe Biden are. I know one day we'll talk about. I don't know if we're going to talk about it today, but about the merits of voting and why you should vote for Joe Biden as opposed to staying home. But I just feel that as of now, yeah, things are not good for Trump. Again, we're just starting. This is literally the beginning of the general election, so a lot can happen until then. I feel though that this is the perfect opportunity right now for Joe Biden to really coalesce and really take off in terms of his messaging.
Yeah.
But again, this is before the Democratic convention, so like we don't know the compromise platform that him and Bernie are going to have. So yeah, a lot of things are up in the air. So I just want to. That's why I don't want to talk about Joe Biden too much right now. But yeah. Anyway. Anywho, let's say speaking of Trump, let's see. So we did that. So we did Trump's election video. What was next that I wanted to fucking share? Oh. So this is gonna go back. We're gonna go back to the protests. It's been week 2 of the George Floyd protests and things. I would say, things have escalated a bit, but I would say, like, in terms of COVID references, we have plateaued. We haven't really gotten any higher from the threat of military force from the president. But have you seen the video of I'm assuming the pro-Trump guy that decided to take out his hunting bow and shoot protesters with arrows?
No.
This is incredible because I've been seeing. There's another video I saw It was on the Majority Report, but I couldn't find it. I think it was in California. It was another protest happening. It was a scuffle between pro-Trump people and the Black Lives Matter protests. A Trump protester brandished his gun, like, you want to start some shit. Like, things are getting to the point where, like, I'm a little worried about escalation of violence, where, like, people opposing sides are going to start shooting each other. And I'm not talking about police shooting protesters. I'm talking about just average citizens just, like, getting in scuffles and just, like, eventually going to kill each other over this shit. So
Yeah.
I found this video, though. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
My true fear is if things continue to spiral out, that it will instigate a non-traditional second civil war. Like, I'm very concerned about that.
No, I understand. And, like, this brings me to this video because we're literally at the point where, like, some people are just taking the law into their own hands. So, this was really funny. And you're going to understand why it's really funny after you see this, because it really shows the inherent contradiction of all lives matter. So, all right, let me open this really fast. Can you see it? We're good?
Yep.
It's really fast. Oh no, it's buffering.
Dun dun dun.
Oh no, I lost it. Damn it, where is it? Wait. Damn it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Did I really lose it? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I'm so sorry. Alright, hang on, folks. I'm so bad at this. I'm so terrible. How did I fucking lose? Where is it? Hang on. I think I got it. Oh my god. Oh wait, alright, I got it. Alright. So sorry about that, folks. Let me share it for you. A boop. All right.
Look at this! You call yourself an American?
Yes, I'm American. All lives matter.
That's right, but they won't matter until we're...
I just want to say,
I screamed all lives matter
as he proceeds to shoot people.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Are you kidding me? The cognitive dissonance. All lives matter, so I'm going to shoot someone.
It just shows the inherent hypocrisy and contradiction of that fucking slogan. It is encapsulated perfectly. It is personified perfectly within this man.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's dissect all lives matter just for a second here.
Yeah, okay.
So all lives matter, is, to me, it's like the same hypocrisy that is written into our Constitution when it says all men are created equal. Well, they didn't believe that because they were completing genocide against the natives and enslaving an entire race of people.
Right.
Like, why did they talk about that? Well, you can read John Locke and he can tell you a little bit of why he doesn't think that they're exactly men or human, right? Yeah. And they aren't deserving of those natural rights. But in order for all lives to matter, Black lives have to matter. It doesn't mean that they matter more. It's just that they need more attention and help right now, because we have Black Americans being killed by the police to a greater level than police kill their civilization in the Congo. Right. In the Congo. It's
like, when somebody says save the rainforest, we're not implying that fuck all the other forests. It's just we're focusing on the rainforest right now. It's not like it's like literally somebody walking into a cancer ward and just screaming all diseases matter. Like, yeah. It reminds me of I don't know, it's a political cartoon of some fat Trump supporter who's like screaming in front of a starving child holding a bottle, like, all lives matter, now stay the fuck out of my country. Yeah. Because since these protests, I've had friends and coworkers that have decided to put in their 2 cents of politics and have uttered the phrase all lives matter, and they have gotten dragged in the comments of their social media pages because
It's in really bad taste.
It's, well, again, they don't realize that the phrase "all lives matter" was dishonestly made in a bad faith representation to discredit Black Lives Matter and the police injustice that, you know, Black Lives Matter is trying to highlight. It's trying to dilute the whole narrative.
Yeah.
It is. And again, this man with the, I just want to, they stopped the guy. I'm just going to keep playing the video because they stopped the guy. It's really fucking funny. Just.
Are you dare? This is his car. This is his car.
Fuck that bitch up!
All lives matter. Wait. Okay, so they don't. It's not in this video, but that man with the bow is later interviewed by the local news station, and the narrative is entirely different. He basically states that he was attacked in an unprovoking manner.
As he.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't provoking anything.
Now his car was totaled. It was flipped over and trashed. You know, I want to clarify that. You can judge, you know, whether that was justified or not, but the motherfucker literally just, I mean, I see this shit. I see people, it's not just this guy with the bow. I've seen people that, like, I've on Facebook sharing memes like, oh, I see protesters, you know, on the highway. You know what I see? Speed bumps. I'm like,
yeah, if you are justifying, so like here's the only condition that I think changes it, and people don't realize this.
right.
Would you drive head on into a traffic jam? No, no one would do that. Why? Because it would destroy your property and harm those things.
Yeah.
The only reason that people are okay with driving into protesters is because minimal harm will happen to their vehicle and to themselves.
True.
And it is an innate discrepancy, and it is vehicular assault and assault with a deadly weapon.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree.
That's the only way that it can go through. And you know, I am not for blocking emergency services, but a lot of these people were also promoting the blocking of hospitals during a pandemic.
Right, the Open America protests, which, you know, if you're one of those people that, you know, supported that, but you're okay with running over other protesters, you need to get your fucking priorities straightened out. Just saying.
Yeah, no, that is a huge discrepancy. And if you do value life and all lives do matter, according to you, please tell me how that lines up with that.
All lives matter.
Yeah.
He used to be a good bowman until he took an arrow to the knee.
Or until he got mobbed.
I can't believe I saw that. He's
you know
screaming.
what?
Is that the war cry for these people? All lives matter. They start shooting the protesters.
I mean, that might be the cops' motto.
Speaking of cops, we're gonna jump right into cops because, and police brutality, because now we're like week 2 into these protests, and I've been able to disseminate more, but there's one thing that really aggravates, you know, besides the excessive use of force by the police. I think the thing that aggravates me more, because I feel like so many people are falling for it, is the PR stunt that the police are doing during the protests, where they take knees as a sign of good faith, or trying to like think that they are showing solidarity with the protesters. So this is a quick video. I'm just going to share it just for partiality. So here we go.
You got a flaw again in the screen share.
Hang on, sorry. Good. Yeah, you see it?
Oh, better now. There we go.
Okay. So that's nice. You know, they're kneeling, trying to defuse the situation. You know, we're with you and stuff. Oh, very nice. You know, protesters come around, shaking hands. Thank you. So, I can't remember where this. Oh, Portland. Okay. So again, Oregon, another problematic state. So thanks, guys. Thanks for doing that.
Thanks for not tear gassing the citizens.
Yeah, but the thing that aggravates me about that is that that's typically a PR stunt.
Oh, yeah.
What's often lost is right after these police kneel, they're shooting tear gas and breaking up the crowds.
Oh, and lead bullets and
Yeah.
fracturing faces, and
They want, I mean, again, it's a good PR stunt, looking nice for the media, because again, it's all about framing a narrative. It just really aggravates me. I don't know, like how do you feel about police kneeling and all this? Like, I mean, I don't want to demonize it entirely, but at the same time, I feel like that's diluting the message right now, because like the way I see it, the cops are up against the wall because shit has hit the fan after George Floyd's death. Like, there's been a mass protest.
52% of Americans support burning down a police station, yeah, they're in big trouble.
Yeah. So I feel that police kneeling is a sign of appeasement. It's like a low bar terms of negotiation, when in reality, I feel like that's going to be a distraction from like the real change that needs to take place within police organizations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you saw my Facebook post earlier about this. Like, this is the lowest bar you can possibly set for reform. I think it only pays lip service. I think if you want to make an actual impact for change, police organizations can start by refusing the militarization of their organization. That is, refusing funds for military-grade weapons, military-grade vehicles for their police work. And go on, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So demilitarize police, eliminate qualified immunity, eliminate that, and improve transparency. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, criminal justice in America needs to be dramatically reformed. Like, if we are to look at any other like society, they don't have a prison state like we do. They do not have a prison state like we do. I mean, I think if we are to have police, we should look at countries like Norway as a model. I mean, given demographics are different, right? Where people will say, but they have a homogenous position. Or
Yeah, that's
like, okay,
I can already hear the critics typing in the
white
comments.
people, does it need to be before you have that? That's my question to the people that will say that.
Right.
You know, we're supposed to have a melting pot in America, right? We're supposed to be multicultural, and ideally that's a good thing, and we should treat people with respect that way. But unfortunately, we're not seeing that.
You know, in terms of immunity, again, also I feel like if police want to make a change, they should stop shielding their comrades that use excessive force against civilians.
There's a great let me look up. There was a great interview on NPR.
Okay.
So there's two things that were on NPR, right? One was on Planet Money, and it was talking about how police unions are actually tied to increases within racial disparity and proliferation of police violence.
Oh, they're also very powerful. I mean, I think it was De Blasio in New York when, when the police unions thought, he was a threat. They actually doxed his daughter.
Yeah. The other one is Eric Leroy Adams, who was a police officer. He started 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. Given I do not agree with the man on a lot of different things, right?
Right.
But he has a great statement, and I think that we should all live by this motto, and we need to be our brother's keeper.
Right.
Basically, his thing is police have de-escalation training for the potential criminal, right? Or if you want to say the person that's completing infractions, we shouldn't identify someone as a criminal until they're tried by their peers. Not saying that our justice system is not without problems.
Right.
But we need to be our brother's keeper, and we need to be able to de-escalate ourselves as well as someone else.
True.
Because in that situation where the gentleman was ready to use lethal force and shoot somebody, yeah, those people were effectively serving as their brother's keeper.
I mean, you can look at the George Floyd video. I mean, yes, we look at the officer that had his knee on George Floyd's neck. What we tend to forget is that there were three other cops that could have done something. I think the more scarier photo was the other officer just literally just standing next to him, like, just another day on the job here, I guess. Okay.
Well, he was. So my understanding is that officer it was his 4th day on the job.
Right? Wasn't he recently transferred?
Yeah, that was an excuse for a man to behave in such a fashion. We should look at Zimbardo or Stanley Milgram to be able to understand the psychology of those horrid situations.
Right.
But the perils of obedience exist.
Yeah.
And that is the result of it when it happens. And we should aim to be able to act at a better moral standing than that.
Well, I think that's a good transition to this next video I wanted to show. Because you saw in Buffalo, 57 police officers resigned out of protest off of what happened to this, I think, like, elderly man that was shoved down and started bleeding through his ear. I think because, again, it encapsulates the idea of, group think, group collective think in terms of, like, how we're supposed to be holding each other accountable. So maybe you guys have seen this video before, but I'm going to share it just because it's important to what we were talking about. So, yeah, this happened in Buffalo, I think literally just a couple days ago. So, here we go.
Barrel bar.
Up. Oh, God. Hold on. Kevin hasn't seen it yet. Resume share. How about now?
There we go.
Okay. Yep, they're just talking. This guy is a very active, like, activist in the area. So, just rewind it really fast. So. Just. Now look at this. This guy, that officer right there, acting on human instinct, like, oh fuck, he's not okay. I should probably help. And then look at the other guy that's like, nope, keep going. Like, this is what I'm talking about in holding, your comrades accountable in the police force.
This is the worst part. This is the worst part, right?
Yeah.
They're doing it in the entirely wrong way. One man who was involved in the pushing felt bad about it and tried to help the man up and to solve the situation, right? Then his brother in arms, right, did not hold him accountable for those actions. Instead, he yanks him away. Everyone else walks past.
Yeah. Yep, tries like, no, keep going. So I can ask somebody else to take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Walking up on me, I'm gonna grab. Back up. Get off the steps. Let's go. Get back.
Yeah, again, I don't care about your kneeling PR stunt if you're gonna pull shit like this. Really not.
The only solidarity that was demonstrated in that on police for their fellow man was quitting along with the officers involved.
I mean, yeah, props to the 57 officers that did do that. And I think the cop that did push him was reprimanded, so he is facing action right now too. So, I mean, it's good for that. But again, this is just one of the many instances of police brutality that I've seen. Like, here's another video I'm going to show. It's a compilation. So you ready for a compilation of just all across America of just police just fucking shit up? Because I know so many people want to talk about the looting. So many people want to talk about the rioting, the destruction of property, all that stuff. When, not contextualizing the fact that I think a lot of these riots start because the police escalate the situation. It's not good. So here, let me just do this really fast. All right. You can see it? You're good?
Not yet. I think it's buffering or whatever.
Right, hang on. How about now?
Oh, yep.
Okay, so there we go. This is the one in New York. No! The fuck?
They don't want you to see it.
Bullshit. Oh, this one's great. Yeah, it's a drive-by pepper spray here. Put that guy down right there. Yeah. Must be New York because of the accent.
We got plenty of time here.
Are you okay?
Oh, this is the video from the last episode that I want to show. The reporter just like, I'm getting shot by the cops.
Katie, are you okay?
Can't fucking do that!
Here comes Bike Cop.
Get the fuck on! Get the fuck off! Fuck you again. What the fuck you gonna do, man?
He's not doing anything. He's in protest.
Get the fuck off! Get the fuck off!
Okay. Well. Yeah.
That is what a failed state looks like.
So, I know there's what's being lost in translation here is the reason why I think a lot of police are acting up is because they are at capacity. They want the protests to end. They want people to stay indoors. And if they stay indoors, then things don't have to change. So that's why you're seeing this escalation of force. You're seeing this excessive violence because, again, their backs are against the wall. And there's only so many police. And if the protests keep happening, they're going to have to give on something. So I'm just trying to contextualize and explain why you're seeing so many videos of just excessive uses of force by the police department here. It's because I think they're afraid in many ways. So I don't know if you had anything else to add on that, but
I truthfully think that you summed it up really well. I mean, the police are currently afraid that there is going to be a massive paradigm shift, and I really do hope that it is there and that it can be resolved peacefully. I really don't want to see people get hurt.
No.
But at the same point in time, we also have to understand that if things are not, if the status quo is not challenged, things will never change. And they're making it abundantly clear that they will use lethal force and abuse abuse civilians that are willing to raise their voice. And this makes me think back to the intolerable acts with the British soldiers. It makes me think of the terrible things that other people have had to go through in order to get their freedoms. And I can truthfully only hope that we can get there with the least amount of loss, and that will mean that everyone needs to show up and vote.
Yeah.
That is the only way we can change it with peaceful means. It is the only way. And if we can't do that, then it's not going to be good. And I mean, like, that's
well, what we're seeing right now, even with these protests, we're seeing more police accountability. I mean, honestly, it had to take the 3rd Precinct police building in Minneapolis to get burned down to have those officers arrested. But, they're arrested now and they're facing trial. We're seeing a law in Congress, I believe it's bipartisan at the moment, that is going to get rid of police immunity. So you're seeing fast change right now from these protests, and more can happen, and the police are not going to let up. This is they're going to be, especially because, like, again, I'm typically a very pro-union person, but police unions need to be held accountable because it's a public service. I mean, the police are supposed to serve the people.
They have a monopoly on force, and that union is defending that abuse.
It's quite different from, like, because I'm in a union, but it's in no ways in anywhere comparable to what the police union is.
No.
Yeah.
No. I am hopeful that people are realizing what's happening and that change will happen, but just remember that when people have power, they will do everything that they can to preserve it, and removing that privilege and power can feel like oppression.
I mean, and that's why I need to implore people that are protesting, continue to please protest peacefully. Don't let up, because that's what the cops want you to do. They want you to go home. They want you to be afraid, because then if they got you home, you're not making the dynamic change that is necessary. Please be mindful of not only just wannabe anarchists that want to just start shit and be agitators. Be mindful of right-wing groups like Proud Boys, or just straight up white supremacists that want to infiltrate and cause shit, to start shit, even start a race war in areas. Be mindful of undercovers that will try to incite violence in order to give the police a justification to disperse mobs. Do not pick up those fucking brick blocks that you see randomly on the streets that the police are leaving in order to incentivize people to start throwing shit at the cops.
I really like the Hong Kong strategy where it's to super glue them to the road.
I saw that. I'm like, there's so much. And what was it? The modern day testudo phalanx of umbrellas.
There's also a strategy to be able to disperse tear gas. And it's
with a cone, right?
Yeah, or a cone.
Yeah.
So understand that again, tear gas is a very dangerous chemical that they're willing to use, which can give people birth defects. Should that surprise you, considering the use of Agent Orange in Vietnam, that still causes insane amounts of birth defects and tragic public health issues today in Vietnam? I don't think we should be okay with that.
No,
I just don't think
agree.
So if you do look at that, if you are trying to do that, be your brother's keeper. Be understanding of the struggles that people face, and also understand that we are currently on the precipice of losing a lot of freedoms if Trump wins again. And it's not, there's a reason why Mattis broke rank and spoke out and said he was a threat to the Constitution. When you are removing people's First Amendment right to sit there and protest, that is incredibly dangerous. It is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
And not only that, the federal courts and the Supreme Court will be stacked in Trump's favor. Understand what is at stake in this election.
No, I agree. Speaking of Trump, I want to go to his speech. So, obviously, last week, Trump was held up in the White House. He was hiding in his bunker. Although now he likes to say he wasn't hiding, he was inspecting the bunker. So he decided to show some force this week. He wanted to make a speech at a very famous and traditional church that presidents have used. That's, I think, across the street from the White House, down the street at least. Problem is, he had protesters outside, and he needed to disperse of them. So the president literally called on the armed forces to disperse a peaceful protest, with tear gas, with flashbangs, all the above. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the video of him like making that walk, but he's passing through a bunch of graffiti. You can still hear the flashbangs going off. But I do have his speech, and I want to play his speech because it's really important that people listen to this and like understand, like read. I would say read between the lines, so to speak. So.
Oh, I can't find that either. I wonder if they really scrubbed the internet on that.
Well, so I have his speech, but
Okay.
unfortunately, I don't have the speech where the same speech where it's from a different audio perspective, and you can literally hear the flashbangs still going off as they're still dispersing the mob. But I have this though, but this literally in a different same video, different uploader, you can actually hear the disbursement of the protests still going on. But here's the president's speech.
I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd.
Oh wait, you could hear that, right?
I could,
yeah. So literally the protest is still being dispersed right now, so the president can make a PR stunt. It's disgusting.
Administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight.
Pause just for a second.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't silence the peaceful protesters," as he pushes them out of that park.
Right. Yeah.
And you can still hear the dispersal of peaceful protesters. Don't let them be silenced. Right? Like that is the wow.
No, I know. Okay. Well, I think we have all established that the president of the United States is an inherent walking contradiction of himself. So,
yeah.
I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights.
That is fucking important. So
immediately goes to guns.
Well, here's what I am taking from this, and I thought about this a little while back. He has a lot of pro-Second Amendment people that support him. My fear is, he's talking about using the military to clamp down on these protests. That phrase, protecting your Second Amendment rights, I think is a call, like a subliminal call for gun-carrying Americans to help out in suppressing these protests as like some form of like auxiliary force to the military.
I agree. I would agree with you, and it would, and he's going to not take credit for the calls for stochastic, what amounts to terrorism, right? Violent.
Going back to that video with the guy with the bow. Imagine if he had a gun.
Exactly. And then what would happen, right? I am very, very afraid that there's going to be a repeat of Vegas, right? The Vegas mass shooting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at one of these protests. That should be something that we are all thinking about with calls like this.
Right.
I want to go back to Alex Jones, right? Calling for the Pizzagate sex scandal.
Yeah.
And about how a deranged man went in there with a firearm trying to save all the people. Or Robert Deere in the Colorado Springs Planned Parenthood shooting,
right,
about being a warrior for the babies.
Mm-hmm.
Those are incredibly dangerous things to be promoting. And there's a reason why Twitter is doing this.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Twitter is doing this. There's a reason why you're seeing these platforms move around that. And I think there's some danger into identifying these. Are these publishing platforms? Are these media relations platforms? What exactly are these social media platforms? Are they just tech companies? The laws are not well described, and they sit on a very, very weird island legally, and that's what is going to happen with that. And I think that only future events will tell. But this is not over at all.
It's not.
Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled.
I just want to say that the reason why these protests are happening is because of the excessive violence. So escalating it with more violence, I don't want to say there's a possibility that it may suppress protests, but it can also equally exacerbate the situation.
Yeah. I mean, I can't predict the future, but if there's anything that we see, the protests become more violent when the police are violent.
Yes, exactly.
The thing which I think is horrifying, and I'm not sure if it's in this speech. I lost the audio a little bit on that one, but the thing that I'm worried about is his identification for domestic terrorist organizations.
I think that's something else, but labeling Antifa as a terrorist organization.
Yeah, and he also expanded that to any anti-police protester.
Right.
The dramatic situation that goes along with that is very frightening because that evokes a third Red Scare, and it encompasses so many more people.
Right.
So many more people. And I mean, that's, to me, if anything is worrisome, that is.
No, I agree. Let's just continue here.
If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested.
I'm glad he put life above property in that sentence because...
Oh, that was about the first time, right?
Because I feel like too much emphasis is putting on property rather than people's well-being and lives. It's just, again, priorities, people.
To go back to, where the guy wanted me to commit suicide.
Oh,
God. More people have died and more unarmed people have died in the last 10 days in 2019, supposedly. Let me do a little research on that. I can't say that if it is true, though.
Okay.
We have to think who are the people that are doing it.
Right.
And why they're doing it. And it's to sustain power.
Right.
It is to sustain power.
Detained and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. One, law and order.
This guy is a fucking moron. You want to know why? Because there's not one Law and Order. I know what he was trying to say. He was going to say once ONCE, once Law and Order is established, not one Law and Order. There's one law. There's one law in America.
It's mine.
I just want to listen to that again. It's fucking idiots.
One law and order, and that is what it is.
One law, folks. It's one law. That's it. It's my law.
It is what it is, okay? Okay?
I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. At least kind of, I understand this is entirely scripted, but I'm sure he had some time to go over it. Fucking,
In the bunker, he had some time, you know?
Right. Yeah. When he was inspecting the bunker.
I mean, now he's got a playpen surrounding the White House. So, I mean, it's that's real cute.
One Law and Order, folks.
And that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law.
He doubles down on this. Why? Just be like, excuse me, sorry, I misread. One beautiful law and order? Is he talking about the Constitution? But like, that's not just one law. I mean, it's the law of the land, but that's quite different from saying it's one law.
Yeah.
And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family.
Hi. Okay. Well. Yeah. So
that's where we are.
Now, I have one video of the... So, Washington, D.C. is, of course, not a state. So, it's under the direct control of the federal government, i.e. the president. So, the president, of course, is allowed to use the military in that area. So, he's very serious when he, deployed thousands and thousands of troops to disperse these mobs. Soldiers, the military. I'm glad nobody got shot, but still.
One thing I want to slip in there is you've used the word mob a few times. Not necessarily saying that like mob mentality is almost always associated with mobs in a negative connotation. Right. Instead, we should use the word protester.
Oh, well, no. Okay, so it started off as a protest. It becomes a mob and a riot once, excessive use is for. That's the context that I'm applying for. I mean, sure. Yeah, I understand. They started off as, they all start off as protests. They become mobs and riots when the escalation of violence is used. I totally get you. I apologize if I wasn't, using the right words.
No, it's okay, man. We just I think the linguistic element to it is that we don't want to continue the use of those phrases simply because...
No, I agree, and yeah, I need to check myself on that because I'm actually falling victim to it right now because I need to stop watching the news right now. I need to take a break. I'm sorry.
Those damn microaggressions,
yeah,
Mike.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. Sorry. I apologize. So this is you saw the video. So did you see the video of DC about them using like low-flying helicopters to disperse protests?
Oh yes.
So I don't know. This is the best one I can find right now. Like that. Okay, this is not a police helicopter. That is a military helicopter being used right now.
Incredibly dangerous, by the way. Yeah. Incredibly dangerous, by the way, and purely an intimidation tactic.
Yeah. Are you seeing this? I mean, what's the point? I'll say what I want to say after the video.
Neighborhood, you had doctors, they kind of lived in the neighborhood, so to speak. Not mine per se, but they did.
I mean, what kind of message are they trying to send here?
That we will use the military to get you to comply?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, that's the message that I get from that. I would have to... I mean, Trump just as much said so. I will end it by sending in the military.
I mean, yeah, and you're looking at it right now, like
Yeah. My question is when does it become? Because we criticize Gaddafi, Saddam, we criticize Kim Jong Un from doing these things, but where is our understanding where we should be able to criticize ourselves?
Well, wasn't it just literally 6 months ago the president warned Iran not to use the military to clamp down on protests?
Or China.
Or China, yeah.
And I would say that our protests are, I don't want to say, I would have to imagine that there's more people protesting, simply because you have a larger population,
Right.
but the amount of arrests and deaths are so disproportionate when you consider the length
Yeah.
and the response,
Mhm.
right? Like, I mean, that's like those people are voicing for democracy to be heard and to avoid extradition and imprisonment.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, right, we're quite literally protesting the like massive systemic degradation of the working class and the associated races with it, right?
No, yeah, I agree. It's just
That's-
it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible.
We are being censored.
Outside of that, man, we've been on for a second.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, I think that's a good. We'll cover Trump's call to the governors next week or something, but or I'll cover it some other time by myself. Like, it's fine. Yeah, we have been on for a minute, so I kind of lost track of time when we're covering, history in progress at the moment. So yes,
yeah. This is going down in the history books, for sure.
So again, so many things. I mean, this is week 2 of the riots. I mean, there's so many other things I want to talk about, but we'll do like your stuff you want to talk about. We'll talk about like
maybe because I mean this right now I think is the most important thing to me anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff can wait. That's not time sensitive.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah. So
if we need to, we can try to put up another.
I mean, you can record video. I mean, I was thinking about doing just recordings by myself. If you want to do something by yourself too, more than welcome to. If you want to get if you want to get something off your chest, go ahead. I'm not stopping you.
Oh no, I think that if we hit some other topics or do something like that, that'd be able to increase our our viewership along with optimizing the algorithm, right?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Praise the algorithm.
Yeah, I know. Gotta play a balancing act here with the algorithm.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that we're going to get ixnayed off of that. But
right.
But that's fine. So
yeah.
Outside of that, everyone stay safe.
Yes, please stay safe.
Mm-hmm. Pregnant women, please do not go down to the protests.
Children as well.
Yes, please. And it's a grim reality that when police are involved, it is not safe for children and pregnant women.
No, it's not. It's not safe for anybody, but
it is especially dangerous for them.
But yeah, don't let up, because the police, again, people in power are going to fight to hold that power, like you said, and change is not going to happen unless the pressure is kept. So again, can't stress that enough, folks.
Solidarity.
Solidarity. Yep, solidarity.
Adios.
All right. See you guys.